Hello, hope you are doing great. I'm a support staff at CSoft. Today I will be discussing WiseImage selection procedure. Why WiseImage selection procedure is important? Because as you probably know that in WiseImage we handle different type of objects at the same time. On my left hand side you can see I have raster entities. The source of raster entities could be scanner or some other raster editing applications, and in my right hand side you can see I have vector entities where I have magnitude and directions, and I can generate this kind of entities using any CAD applications. So these are two different entities on a single workspace, and in WiseImage we are basically allowed to update to any of these entities at the same time. So to access all the tools for selection in WiseImage, you can go to either on menu or in the toolbar. In the toolbar you can right click and you can choose select toolbar. I already turned on, so if I click it will disappear, and if I click again, so this is the toolbar, the selection toolbar in WiseImage. Now I think we should start from this. So I have three different tabs: F2, F3 and F4. You can choose any of these functional keys from your keyboard and hit enter to activate that particular selection mode in WiseImage, or you can click on those buttons. So let me select F3, which means that I'm allowed to select all the raster entities, not the vector entities. So now if I try to select any of the lines, so I can select easily. So these are all raster entities, so I can select now. But if I go to vector and try to use the same functions, I'm not allowed to select that objects as I am on F3. Now if I press F4, or I should go to F2 before describing F4. So if I click F2, what will happen? I will be allowed to select the vector entities easily. It's a rectangle. But if I go to raster, I'm not allowed to select. So F2 is for vector selection, F3 is for raster selection. Now if I press the button F4, or if I choose F4 on my keyboard, so this hybrid selection mode will be activated. What is mean by that? I can select any of the vector entities, at the same time I can select raster entities easily, right? So hybrid is for both raster and vector. Now we should also remember that we have different plus and remove symbols or singles, or if I select few of the objects, then I can remove some selected objects. So basically if I turn on the plus sign and I try to select multiple raster lines, that I can do. But if I turn on this and click any of that, so I can remove one selected raster selected lines out of the selection. And at the same time if I click on this single, by that I means I am allowed to select only one objects at a time. So I'll keep in single. Now basically what should be the procedure of yours when you are working? You should be turn on this functions auto. You should click by default on auto. When you start WiseImage, this tab will be activated by default. Select auto, and you should start, if you are working with raster images, you should be there on raster selections, and this tab will be activated. Basically, if with this normal default selection set, if you click, so basically you are allowed to select the whole arc. And on this circle, if you click on the circle, now what is happening, I'm using the raster mode and the default select auto functions, but still I'm not able to select the whole circle. So on such cases, as we all know that raster entities are quite complex to handle, so we manipulate the cursor in WiseImage to select different type of objects easily. So on such cases, I can either choose this raster circle. So now my cursor will behave something else because I just moved from auto, but I'm still on raster. So my cursor will look like something this. So now actually I'm allowed to select some objects like this. So now I can select a whole circle easily. So it just I need to manipulate the shape of the cursor to select different type of raster entities. So when I select the objects, I should move from that particular functions and move to auto again, because this should be the default. So what the select rectangle means, I'm still on raster selection, so if I click rectangles, so this is quite simple. I can select anything, making a normal rectangle. So whatever objects will be in the rectangle, those objects will be selected. And this is quite useful as well. This is called polygonal selection. So if you select polygonal selection, the cursor will behave like this. You need to double click to go out from the tool, from the functions. So I'm trying to select some complex area like this. So I will take this select polygon, select by polygon basically. So now I can select. So using these functions, I can actually select anything, anywhere, any shape. Just click the whole area and then double click, so it will get select. Moving back to auto again. Now these are few other selection tools you can try your for your knowledge. You can take this one. If I need to select certain portion of a raster line, not the entire line, so I can do that. And same with the arc or circle. If I need to select certain portion of the arc, not the entire arc, so I can do that. And circles, and this is raster symbol selections. So basically you can use this function to select raster symbols. You need to choose this and click on the symbols, that should get select. And I have this function. This is very useful. You can click on this functions. So now you are almost not allowed to do anything except select objects. So when you in the flat fill mode, By that you means that you can click any of the objects and that will select the whole assembly. Remember, on this case, on this selections, all the items, all the objects you are targeting to select, you need to verify that those objects are touched each other. So you can see on my case, I select the assembly, certain line, it selected all the part except the hidden line. So I have left all the hidden lines, all this. So now if I press shift on my keyboard and try to click on each of the not selected part, so that will also be included in my assembly selection. So basically this is very useful, and to select certain assembly or certain part you can use the flood field. There are several options you can use for selections. So you can try back to auto again, escape. So you can try. These are a few tools for your use. This is one functions that we use to select raster hatches. So on this case I need to show the hatches like this, and when I end, double click, so it will select all the raster hatches. So this is also very useful. So cursor shape will be something like this. Double click will remove the tool like this. So going back again to auto, these are some useful tools as well. So you can select, this is something to select, say if you have a different raster images in one workspace, you can choose one or two of those raster image to get select. As you can see, it's selected now. If I turn off the tick mark, it will deselect, so I can select display any of the raster image easily, entire raster image. Now these are filters are also similar kind of thing. So basically on the entire drawing you can choose for certain rasters, choose the spec and press OK. So that will select some of the objects in the workspace, raster objects. And going further down, select images. Okay, so I'll discuss this also. So when I am on vector selection, so basically now I can select all the vectors like normal CAD applications as I do. But when I on this, if I click this, so it will select all the vector entities in the workspace. So this function is called select all. If I click on this, so it will deselect all the vector entities. But notice that during selection of all raster objects, vector objects, sorry, in the workspace, I did not select any of the raster images or entities because I am on F2, so which is vector selection mode. Now with the same functions, if I click F3 and try to use select all, so it will select all the raster entities, right? Deselect will remove all the objects from the selection set. So these are all selection tools in WiseImage. You should take a time to try all of these tools and read the help if you need. Few things I also need to inform or discuss here on this video. Sometimes I am on vector selection mode and auto, so if I click the line, I can select the line easily, But there are certain circumstances where if you have selected vector selection and cursor is on auto mode, but still you will not be able to select any of the raster entities by clicking. You could have select like this by cross or normal window, but you cannot select one object by click on that. So on any objects I can click to select, so that will not work at certain circumstances. What is that particular circumstances? You can go to conversion options. For the first time, all the dialog box in WiseImage will come like this, so we need to remove this allow docking. So the moment I will allow, so the docking will remove. So now I can drag the dialog box anywhere. So next time if I go to the same functions, it will open without the docking enable state. So on this, so the most important things in the selections, the single click selections, you should remember in the options. So this thing is actually responsible for that, for not allowing you to select anything. So let me take this tool and measure the width of a line. So this is something around 1 point something 10. If you can make it 0.1, so which is less than the width of this line, obviously I should remember the scale of the image. So F2, scale of the image is 1, so that is okay. So I have now width factor selected 0.1 in the conversion options. Now I'm on F3 and select auto mode. Now I'm trying to click, I'm not able to select anything. I can make a rectangles, that is okay, but I cannot click and select anything. So for that, if you have similar situations, you should go to conversion options and you should take this button and measure the maximum width of any of the objects in the drawing. So it's 1.02. I can make it something like 2. So now I should be able to select the same line by single click again. So this is working fine now. I have one more thing to discuss on this video. So as you can see, the line is not properly scanned though. So basically this line, if I click on the line, so it's selected but only a segment of the entire center line, so which is not correct. I should be able to select the entire center line to change the line type or something something to hidden line or something else. So now I can only allow to select a segment of the entire center line. So on such cases, not all the times you need to use this kind of functions, but sometimes maybe you require this kind of functions, so you can manipulate WiseImage to select this kind of, for this kind of functionality, you know. So this is the options actually responsible for this kind of situations. Maximum break. So I think I should choose this, and this is the maximum break. Choose this one. So now that is fine now. So when I tell the applications, tell WiseImage that this is actually the maximum break, so it understands this is center lines now. It's probably will not tell you this is a center line, it will mark you as a solid line though, but that is all fine. So I can select the entire line at least to change it to something like this one. So the entire line will line type will change and it will be much more visible in the raster. So this kind of adjustment you can actually do with the WiseImage selection. So okay, so I think this is a small discussions on try, and if you have any issues, any problem, you can use the link below in the descriptions, support portal link, where you can raise your ticket for the help, or you can comment on the video as well. We will definitely help on that. So thank you very much for your time. Thanks.